Hey friend, it is Brandon Gustafson with Assisted Living Investing. I help beginners like you launch their assisted living business in the next 12 weeks. Super excited to, no, sorry, in the next 12 months. Super excited to have you here. I wish it was 12 weeks. Super excited to have you here with us on the live today. We're going to be getting into Medicaid, what it is, everything that you need to know about Medicaid. I want to talk with you a little bit about that because there's a lot of misconceptions, and I have several videos on the channel that talk specifically about Medicaid. But it's always good to get in here and do these sessions with you in a live setting so that you can get your questions answered. So as I go through this, make sure you're typing in your questions because we will have a little bit of time here at the end to answer those questions and make sure you get the answers that you need as you're trying to launch your assisted living business, understand Medicaid, and understand how to get things going. For those of you who are new, type in newbie down below as well. I just love seeing all the new people that are here. It's super fun to see when we have somebody new that's found us and is trying to launch their assisted living business and trying to move forward. And for those of you, we'll talk about this here at the end of the video a little bit, but I want to put this out there. We just launched a brand new membership that is a little bit more accessible than the mastermind program. So if you go to assistedlivinginvesting.net/basics, we're actually doing a promo on it right now. The first 50 people that sign up are going to get in at founders pricing. So it's significantly discounted what it's going to be moving forward. And it's a month-to-month membership, but very affordable to help you as you're trying to launch your assisted living business and make some good progress. So would love to have you in there for that. Now, with that said, let's get over to start talking let's start talking about Medicaid. So I also want to remind you to get over and download the business plan checklist, assistedlivinginvesting.net/BP checklist, to get that free resource to help you start building your business plan. And Ernest is already here in the chat. Good to see you, Ernest. Thanks for being here. All right, let's get into this. Medicaid, everything that you need to know as you're trying to do this. I want to kind of go through this. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brandon Gustafson. I own 2 assisted living facilities. I've been doing this since 2020. I live in Utah. I operate out of state. I have a facility in Idaho and a facility in Colorado. We're actually going tomorrow to go do a site visit at our Idaho facility, which is super exciting to go do and chat and visit with the residents. So it's one of my favorite things. It's one of the reasons I love owning these businesses, is the impact that we get to have on our residents and our staff, and visiting them and seeing what they're up to. It's a ton of fun. I've secured over $1.5 million in SBA funding, as well as I've gone through this process and have a master's in healthcare administration. So I know a lot about the healthcare industry. So I've worked, when it comes to Medicaid, my facilities both have Medicaid residents in them. I would say 90% of our residents are on Medicaid. So I understand it from that standpoint. I've worked for a managed care organization in the past as well. I work in a lot of government programs throughout my professional career. Have a lot of experience there and have a really good understanding of exactly what Medicaid is, how it works, and how it can impact your business here. So that's, give you a little bit of background on me and why I can talk to you a little bit about Medicaid and why you shouldn't be scared of it as you're getting into this. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what Medicaid is. It is different from Medicare. So I want to stress that. I can't stress it. I really wish they had called it something different so that it wasn't just like a few words off, a few letters off, because it is so confusing for people. Medicare, at its core, it's a federal program. Medicare is, and there's 3 parts to it. There's part A, which is like inpatient stays, like staying at a hospital overnight. There's part B, which is outpatient stays, which is, think, I've got to go to a physical therapist, I have to go see a specialist. And part D, which is pharmaceuticals, so prescriptions and things like that. As you can tell there from those 3, part A, B, and D, that doesn't include long-term care. I do believe that there's like a nursing home benefit under part A, but we're not nursing home when we're doing assisted living. And the reason why it does fall under that for Medicare and nursing homes is because there's actual care, like medical care being provided. Whereas in assisted living, we have nurses in the home, but they are the ones that are performing that care. As an assisted living facility, we are the ones that are caring for the residents, helping out with those activities of daily living and helping them through the process. So Medicare does not have a benefit for assisted living. It does not. Medicaid, however, does. Medicaid is a federally funded program, but then it's administered at a state level. So Medicaid, you'll get somebody that says, let's say a budget is $100 billion. It goes to a state. Federal government gives the state $100 billion. The state is then able to set their budget on how they're going to use that. Some of that could, and Medicaid is a huge program, so some of it could be assisted living, but there's also like food stamps and chip, and like food programs, and there's a bunch of other ways for people to qualify for Medicaid. And then the state says we're going to allocate, you know, 50 billion of this money into assisted living, or whatever the number is. They will say we're going to put this chunk of money here, or we're going to set, we know we have, 100,000 individuals that are on Medicaid that are going to need assisted living services, so our budget is going to be this chunk of money. Divide that by the 100,000 people, divide that by 365 days. That's how we're going to get to our daily rate. So that's how you're going to see a lot of this coming together. The state is going to set that budget, and they're going to handle the reimbursements. This is not done at a federal level at all. Funds come from the Fed, but is not administered at the federal level. It's all done at the state level. And I can't remember if I have this in the slides or not. I know there's a lot of concerns out there. You hear a lot of things with this administration talking about doing budget cuts and Doge and everything. So if you're watching this 10 years after the fact, you're like, what is that? There's a commission that is there to help us to help find waste in the government, and Medicaid is one of those things where it's kind of been brought up pretty consistently. And I had a question about this, about like my view on it, and I truly do not believe that those cuts will have an impact on this part of Medicaid, for two reasons. Number one, I don't think it will, because it's not intelligent from a political standpoint. So you would be alienating a huge base to take a population that needs these services and taking that benefit away, or restricting it significantly and making them pay more for it, and displacing people from their homes. It, like, from a political standpoint, it would alienate a lot of the people that are in the base of the current administration. So I don't see that as a thing that would happen. And the other thing is, there's not a lot of waste in that specific area of Medicaid. Where there is waste in Medicaid, it's a lot more people that are on food stamps that don't necessarily need to be on it, or that type of a thing. Not necessarily what we're dealing with here inside of the assisted living world. So I don't want to get like super into politics and things, but I personally, as a person that owns businesses that deal with Medicaid, and that's like the lifeblood of my business, I'm not that concerned about it, honestly. So I want to like resolve that concern and say, like, I just don't see that happening. Just realistically, I don't. I think everything's going to end up being fine. So um, that's Medicaid. That's what Medicaid is. Now, there are a few of you out there that you're like, and I get this comment often, where you say, "Hey, like I've listened to your videos on Medicaid. Like it seems like a really cool program, but my state doesn't have Medicaid." And sorry, I've been talking a lot today. I did a bunch of recordings for videos that are going to come out here in the next few weeks, and my voice is going. So I'm going to probably cough a few times. This is the downside of being live. So let's see. If your state doesn't have Medicaid, in reality, it does. It's just going to be called something different. So in some states, they use a different name. California, for example, it's called Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal is Medicaid. It's just California's version of it. They wanted to brand it, so it's not called Medicaid. They call it Medi-Cal. Other states, it's a waiver program. So in Texas, for example, Texas is a big one, and I see this from a lot of people. Medicaid in Texas is the Star Plus Home and Community-Based Services Waiver, HCBS. So as you're trying to find this, it's really hard. It can be hard to find, and because you search for my state Medicaid in my state for assisted living, and you can't find anything, it's because you have to adjust it a little bit. So I would love to hear from you. Type in the state that you are in down below, and if you found Medicaid in your state, or what it's called in your state. I think that would be super helpful for the people that are here. A tip for you as you're trying to find that Medicaid program in your state is to look for something like this. You would search for assisted living Medicaid waiver. You want to put that word in there because it's actually really important. Waiver program in my state. So that way you're going to hit Medicaid. You're also going to hit waiver. So I did this for Texas because I couldn't remember what it was called in Texas. So I did Medicaid waiver program for assisted living in Texas. And that's where I was like, oh, that's right. It's a STAR Plus program with HCBS. HCBS is Home and Community Based Services is pretty consistent in a lot of states. I find that they're not like they're not a regulating body. They're not the organization typically that is going to provide a license to you for your assisted living business, but a lot of things end up running out of that. I've seen that acronym in several different states. Colorado has it. We have one. It's actually something slightly different in Idaho. It's the long term care bureau, LTCB, I think is what it is. But you want to be looking for these types of things, those there's going to be acronyms. This is healthcare. This is just what happens. But you want to be looking for those types of Medicaid waiver programs in your state. That's going to help you find those, and then it's navigating them. And we're going to get into a little bit of how that works here, and as we go in the video. So let's talk about how a resident gets Medicaid. With Medicaid, there's two ways. There's two parties that are involved. There's the resident themselves, and then there's you as the business. You each have to be certified for Medicaid in order for this to work. So the way that that's going to work for you is let's see. So the way that that's going to work for you is they have to qualify for Medicaid on their own. They have to have what I would call a qualifying event. Not every state's going to call it this, but a qualifying event is going to be financial. They don't have the money, so they need help from a financial standpoint. Disability or age. These are three things that are pretty common ways to qualify for Medicaid. You see a lot of the financial one when you're looking at somebody that's on food stamps or younger college students or people that are pretty early on in like starting a family. They don't qualify for being on insurance with their parents anymore. They need to do that. Maybe they don't have a full-time job yet. Like there's a lot of reasons why somebody or how somebody could qualify for it. Financial is a big one, and then disability is the other one that I see. They actually will have different waiver programs. So one that is pretty common for assisted living is elderly, blind, and disabled. So that's age and they're disabled. That's how they qualify. That's how that specific person has qualified for Medicaid. We have that in both Idaho and Colorado for my facilities. So it's pretty common. If I see it across multiple states, then it's like, okay, maybe somebody like has a bit of a standard there. But that's what you're going to see with those. Now, when they are also doing this to qualify for Medicaid, they have to meet a few different standards. They have to have citizenship. There's a family status piece of that, like amount of individuals that are in a family. Are factored into the financial qualifying event. There's math behind it. I don't want to get into it here on the video. And then also state residency. Like if you're going to qualify for Medicaid in your state, you have to prove that you live in that state. So you have to be a U.S. citizen. That's the federal component where you get federal funding for this. Then you have to be a resident of that state. So you have to show that you live there for the state to be able to pay you, and then have that qualifying event. Those are kind of the ways that happens. It can be confusing. Oftentimes you're going to have case managers that help residents qualify for this. And those case managers can also help out with like securing securing Social Security income. That's a lot of S's. And so that's another thing that you should be aware of is case managers can really help out. So as a facility, if I have a potential resident that doesn't quite qualify for Medicaid, I might bring them in as private pay for a period of time, even though to help spend down the money so they qualify for Medicaid. And then if I understand how to do it, can help them a little bit with the paperwork for Medicaid. But oftentimes you want to have relationships with case managers who are then going to be able to walk people through that application process and help them obtain Medicaid. Those Medicaid benefits. So that's how a resident is going to qualify for Medicaid. In a nutshell, working with case managers is going to be the best way to really help navigate a lot of what that's going to look like. Okay. Now let's talk about how to become a Medicaid provider. So this is you as the business owner. As I mentioned, there's those two components. One is the resident has to qualify, and then you have to become certified as well. So you have to both be in that kind of area. Now I want to qualify this and say, every state is different because this is administered on a state level. Each state will have their own specific requirements. It's just like zoning when you're getting into assisted living is going to be specific to a municipality, and getting the facility license is going to be specific to the state that you're in. The Medicaid process will be state specific. It is separate from your facility license. It is also probably going to be a different government department that is going to handle the Medicaid application process. So the area in your state that's going to help you get the facility license should be able to give you guidance on which department in the local government is going to help you qualify and become certified as a Medicaid provider. But they likely, and I have to stress that word because sometimes it is the same area, likely will not be the agency that is going to help you become certified as a Medicaid provider. So there's a lot of stuff here, right? This is why I help people. So if you need help, go apply to the mastermind program, alimastermind.com. I can help you navigate a lot of this. Like, you're going to have a ton of questions as you go through it. Or check out ALI Basics that I mentioned a little bit earlier, assistedlivinginvesting.net/basics. And I can answer a lot of these questions as you are going through the process here. Okay. Now, with that out of the way, each state is different. Let's talk about generally what that's going to look like. So number one, you will have to be a licensed provider. So those of you that want to do an unlicensed care home will not be able to serve a Medicaid resident, at least not in a way that's going to let you get receive payment from Medicaid. They could be on Medicaid as long as they're paying for privately, but you're not going to be able to collect for that service as an unlicensed facility. You just can't. It's a qualification that every state's going to have, that you be a licensed facility. So that's number one that you have to understand. If you want to work with Medicaid, you're going to have to become licensed. Number two is there's an application process, and this application is very similar to the facility license application. There's a lot of the same questions, a lot of information there that you're going to have to fill out. It's not hard. It's not scary. It's just, you're going to have to do it. There might be, 2 or 3 questions on there that you're just like, I don't know what I would do in this scenario. And that's something I can definitely help you out with as you're getting into this. Next is you're going to have to provide a lot of paperwork. You're going to have to get like your insurance information, your bank information, your entity setup information. There's a ton of paperwork that you're going to have to provide. Again, very similar to the type of information that you're providing when you get your facility license. You're just going to have to provide it again to another person because it's a different agency. Even if it's the same agency, it's going to be a different person. You're still going to have to submit all the paperwork again. That's just the way that this works. And then you're going to have to wait and maybe submit it again and again. So I've told the story a few times in Colorado, it took us about 4 months to become Medicaid certified. It took forever. And the reason why is the paperwork that they kept asking for was not clear at all. And I couldn't get an answer from people. They had horrible customer service, and trying to get an answer was just impossible. And the thing that really held us up was bank information, because I sent them, here's the voided check. Oh, we need a letter from the bank with the information on it. Here's the letter. Well, we need it to have a wet signature. Here's the wet signature. Well, now we need the voided check, and it needs to be on this piece of paper. So it was like, I finally got to, and you would submit it, and then you'd have to wait 5 to 10 days for them to get back to you. And you could call, but all they could tell you is it's in process. Like, it wasn't the people that were reviewing. It was the most frustrating period of time. Like, I was done. We finally got it done. But man, it was frustrating. And so that's another thing that I teach in the mastermind program, is how to get all of that stuff together so that you don't miss a beat and you can accelerate it. Because what I learned in Colorado, that took me 4 months, applied those lessons learned to what I did in Idaho. And we were certified in 3 weeks with 3 different organizations, because there's managed care organizations in Idaho that we had to do it with. So you could do it a lot faster. You just have to know what you're doing as you go through the process. So that's how you become a Medicaid provider. Now, let's talk a little bit about Medicaid billing. So billing in Medicaid, I don't know how many of you are are into. Let's ask this: if you have done billing before, medical billing, just type in billing down below. I'm curious to see how many of you have done this, because it changes over time. It can be confusing, and when you're getting into this, you're going to have a specific code. These are state specific too, so I can't tell you that it's code 1 2 3 4, because it will be different for each state. It could be A179, or it could be 8765. Like, it just kind of depends on what the state wants to do with it, and it's alphanumeric, and so it just could be whatever. It's the fun thing about some of this stuff. It doesn't follow traditional like CPT coding. It's just whatever the state's done, and they probably set it up 50 years ago, and it is what it is. Anyways, as a side note, let's see. With assisted living, you will bill one code for one day each day of the month. So that's how assisted living works. There are a ton of Medicaid codes out there, and there's potential to your residents could have other benefits besides assisted living, and so there's potential that other codes could be billed. But as an assisted living provider providing assisted living services, you can bill just that one code. Now, if you're going to do other things, um, you could potentially bill other codes, but not for the assisted living service. I'm speaking a little bit vaguely because it can be confusing. So if you get to that point, you're owning your own business, you're like, I'm Medicaid certified, I'm doing this, and now I'm seeing all these other codes. Can I do that? That's something I can definitely help you navigate. But that one code for one day, every day of the month, is called the daily rate. So if you hear me say daily rate, that's what we're talking about. The other thing with Medicaid is you can bill as frequently as you like. You could bill them on a daily basis if you want. You could bill however frequently you want. Medicaid will typically pay out on a weekly basis. So it's like they'll take all the things that were submitted up until Friday, they'll process that, and they pay it out on Monday, as an example. So they make payments out to you on a weekly basis almost always, but you could bill every day if you wanted. We typically bill every other week, and then we get paid every other week is how we do ours, which is a really good cadence for us. It helps us out quite a bit. You also, and I mentioned this a little bit, managed care organizations, so MCOs. These are companies that the state will basically contract with to handle the billing for them if they don't want to do it. Colorado uses an MCO, but it's like integrated into the state's Medicaid. In Idaho, we have Idaho Medicaid that is done directly by the state, and then there's two other MCOs. There's Blue Cross of Idaho and Molina Healthcare, and so we have to contract separately with each of those providers. So that's where I was saying, it took us 4 months to do this in Colorado with one vendor, and in Idaho it took me 3 weeks to do it with three of them. Like, you can do that, and those are managed care organizations. They basically just process the claims, and then they take a cut off the top of it that the state pays them for doing the work for them. I won't get too deep into it, but that's what it is in a nutshell. And then also with this, and I've talked about this several times, I'm not going to go deep into it today, but you could collect a we call it a RUF. It's rent, utilities, and food. Each state might call it something different, but you collect that directly from the resident, and it's a portion of their Social Security income. So say they receive $1,000 in Social Security income, you're able to collect 800 of that for their rent payment, basically. So the Medicaid piece is care, and then the RUF is the rent portion of that. So that's kind of how that works. And the state will tell you what you can and can't collect of those amounts based off of how much they're getting, and also the amount of care that you're providing to them. So that is Medicaid billing. Like, that's a crash course there for you on Medicaid billing. So if you need some guidance with this, my accelerator program kind of takes you through a 5-phase process, and phase 4 of that is navigating the rules and regulations. So as you can tell from all of this, like, it can be really confusing and hard to navigate. And the accelerator program is something that I teach you about and how to navigate a lot of these things. So you can go check that out at assistedlivinginvesting.net/ALA. Would love to help you out there. Also, make sure you go check out ALI Basics. We again just launched that today, and I'm super excited for it. Like it might not come through because I'm tired of talking, but ALI Basics, a brand new membership, really affordable for you, where you can get in there. We have weekly tips and tricks on how to navigate things. You can submit questions. I'll do video answers for you specifically. There's a community, a peer community that's like an upgraded version of Facebook, because they're people that are like paying to be in there, so they're committed and they want to do this. You can build relationships with them. I love being in these types of communities. I'm in several of them, and I find them so beneficial. And I'm super excited to release that for you. So it's no application process. You can go do it. We're actually doing a promo on it. If you go to assistedlivinginvesting.net/basics, you can see what that is and get in now, because it's only the first 50 that sign up that are going to do it. And we just launched it today. So if you're watching this, a week or two from now, promo code will be gone, but the community is still going to be there. I would love to have you in there and help you navigate things as you're trying to launch your assisted living business. All right. Now, let's get over to questions. While you are typing those up, I want to remind you to like the video, subscribe, and ring the bell as well, so you get notified every time we put out content like this. We do these lives on Tuesdays. I love doing it, interacting with you all. And then we put out content on Thursdays as well, and that's super fun for me to do. Make sure I'm on all the social media platforms as well to help answer your questions and help you make some good progress as you're trying to launch your assisted living business. So let's hop over here, and I think I've got a we're going to switch our screens here. Ernest, let's see. Question here. Thoughts on the Trump Doge cut that will affect Medicaid? Yeah, I chatted about that a little bit earlier. I really, I think it will impact Medicaid. I don't think it will impact the assisted living sector of it. I really don't. And like I mentioned, 90% of my business is Medicaid residents, and I'm honestly not that concerned about it. It could happen. Like, there's every possibility that something like that could happen, and then I'm sunk. But I just don't see it. There's political reasons behind it, and just like I just don't think it makes sense. It's not where there's waste. In assisted living is not where you're going to find waste, and that's what Doge is all about. There might be some in some states and things like that, but I just don't think that that's the case for what I see as an operator. Ernest, Virginia and Florida. Nice. Yeah. I mean, every state's going to be a little bit different. You're going to see Virginia and Florida are going to be vastly different. I would say Florida will be a little bit easier to navigate, probably, than Virginia. Virginia is just more highly regulated, so it's going to probably be a little more confusing. There's going to be a little bit more there, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. It's just more to navigate, so that's fine. And Vita, you are in Missouri. I don't have the Missouri process off the top of my head. My brother and sister-in-law they live in Kansas. They live right in Kansas City, so right on the border. But yeah, the Medicaid process in Missouri is going to be pretty similar to that. There's going to be little specific things, but you're going to see, like, honestly, what I showed you, the example there, it's going to be the same. Like 80% of it's going to be the exact same, and then the remaining 20% will just be kind of state specific, and it's probably mostly on the like who you're talking to and the application process, some of the questions, the form that you're filling out, and things like that. But the paperwork you're going to have to send is going to be the same across the states. Vita, is the patient paying with SSI as well? Yes, yeah, they do. So that Social Security income that they get, like I mentioned, let's say they get $1,000, just for easy math. The state will tell you how much of that you can collect. It's typically 80 to 85% of it you can collect directly from the resident. So you are collecting that from them, from the person that's in charge of their finances, their power of attorney, whoever it is that is in charge of the finances. You're doing that, and I strongly encourage you, just like I would with a private pay resident, to set that up on auto pay through your bank to just process things automatically. I think that's the smartest way to do that, and make sure that you're getting timely payments as you're trying to get people to pay you and have things cash flowing for your business. So that is it, and I have a meeting that starts in 1 minute, so I'm going to close us out and just say, thank you for watching. I appreciate it, all of you that make it here live and type in your questions. This actually came out of a question that somebody put on YouTube. I can't remember the person's name, but I want to thank him, I know it was a guy, for that question, and hopefully this helped answer those questions for you about Medicaid, how it works, residents, and you as a facility and a provider, and just the whole thing. If you found this to be helpful, again, like the video, subscribe, and ring the bell. Thank you again for watching. Make sure you go grab the business plan checklist, assistedlivinginvesting.net/BP checklist. I would love to help guide you. Does residential assisted living sound interesting to you, but you don't know how to get started? At Assisted Living Investing, I'm here to help beginners like you launch their assisted living business in the next 12 months. I love it. I love coaching you. I love helping you along your path, and would love to work with you more directly. So make sure you get over to the website and check out those programs. And remember, it doesn't take a lot, just a little bit. Just keep going step by step by step. And I promise you, if you do and you're consistent and persistent, you're going to be successful. Thanks for watching, and have a great